Hi, everyone. Happy New Year. Welcome back to Ask Amy. I have a question today from Blima, and she actually sent two questions. I'm going to speak to one of them here today, and I'm going to speak to the other one next week because they're different enough questions. I want them each to get a little of their own attention, and they're both excellent questions. So before I dive into Bleema's question, I do want to mention that today we've extended the special pricing for the Little School of Big Change, the brand new Little School of Big Change, I should say, through today. So we had holiday pricing. This is the lowest price that you can get enrolled in the school that we ever offer. And it is good through today. And the Little School of Big Change is completely brand new. So all of the videos have been re-recorded. Everything is updated. It's all new content. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait to put these new videos out and see what people think of them. So the next course begins February 7th. You can enroll anytime between now and then, but do it today if you want to save some money. Okay, so Bleema's question, one of Bleema's questions, the one for today, is I was wondering if you could address if you ever still have binges and what your perspective is on them when and if they happen. So, okay, so this seems like a very simple question, and it kind of is, but there's a lot that I really want to say to this. First, no, keep in mind that it's been about 10 years since this was a really debilitating habit for me. So it's been a while, and I don't have anything in my life regularly or at all in quite a while that I would call a binge, or yeah, nothing that resembles anything about how it used to be, and it's been that way for quite a long time. But what I most want to say to this, and really kind of try to express this, is that the change isn't that behavior doesn't happen anymore. The real thing that feels to me like it is just like that's not really the gift. That this activity called binging doesn't happen, that's great. But that's not really at all, not even in this universe of what this is really about. I don't really care if it happens. And I surely would not have said that 10 years ago, 15 years ago, maybe 8 or 9 years ago. I don't know that I would have said that to the extent that it feels absolutely true today. So even to read the question, do you still have binges? No, but I don't care. I wouldn't care if I did. Now, okay, so I don't know if I'd care if I did, but I wouldn't care if I cared. So if I were to have a big binge later today, I would feel some stuff, or I would feel nothing. I would feel neutral about it. It would just be what happened, or who knows? I have no idea. Maybe I'd be really shaken by it. But either way, there would be some behavior, and then there would be some feeling and some thought and some fleeting experience, and that right there, not do you binge, do you do this anymore, do you not do that anymore, not even do you live in this state of equanimity and never caring about anything, but even deeper, this place of like, yes, stuff happens and I don't really care. Feelings happen, thoughts happen, and it's just what's happening, and it just doesn't look like it matters. And when it looks like it matters in a moment, when there's resistance to something in a moment, or if it looks like it matters in a moment, that's okay too. That also doesn't matter. It just keeps going and going and going. None of this stuff that happens, thought, feeling that shows up, means anything. None of it is inherently anything. It's not meaningful. It doesn't really matter in the big picture. And that's what's changed. Yeah, that's what's changed. So at one point, and for the people I work with, for sure this is true of me, my mind was all very full of stories about this sucks, this is horrible, this has to change. If this changes, I can finally be happy. until this changes, I can't be happy. I mean, just story after story after story. And it was like living in this tiny little box where all I could see and all I could ever hear was these same stories, and they were like a narrow range of stories. This wasn't like, I mean, it's all an illustration, but it's like a pretty narrow range of stories. I mean, my mind, for all of the years that I dealt with this and all of the years that I was trying to not deal with it, was thinking about it a lot, and looking at it and tracking it and trying to change it and talking about what it meant. And it was just a constant barrage of story. It was never, it's hard to say, but see if you can hear this. It was never about actually doing that thing. It was never actually about binge eating or not binge eating. My suffering around it, your suffering around your habits and addictions, not about what you're actually doing. It's living in this narrow little band of repetitive story, and that's kind of your whole reality when you're in it. That's all you can see, and that's the little world you live in. That's that's where all the suffering is. So that little narrow band of story after story after story about it, now I can see. When I was in it, all it looked like is this has to stop so I can break free, so I can, and my mind would make up all this stuff about what it would feel like and be like and what had to happen and all of that. And the crazy thing is, now that looks completely different. My life doesn't look now like my mind told me it would have to look. My feelings and thoughts aren't now what my mind told me they would have to be for me to be okay and be happy. So back then, it was, again, it was all about this behavior. The behavior had to stop. I would do anything to just try to control the behavior, which obviously made it worse every single time. But there was also a lot of like, oh, well, when you're free, this won't happen and that won't happen. And you won't even want those foods and you won't even like this thing. And you'll just be a person who doesn't care about sugar and flour or whatever. I don't know. Like you won't eat out of boredom because you'll just be whatever. I don't know that like I eat out. There's boredom. There's eating out of boredom happens sometimes. Overeating happens sometimes. A binge like it used to be hasn't happened in a really long time, but again, it could, and I don't really care. When those other things happen, when eating out of boredom or overeating happens, it's just what's happening. And I cannot say enough how amazing that is. That is the freedom. I couldn't care less. And even when I do, I know this is going to sound kind of loopy and crazy, but even when I'm kind of like, oh, I didn't need that. That wasn't even good. I don't really care about that either. So really what it's about and what I'm trying to express is there's just something so much bigger available. And I know you just asked a really simple question, Blima, and hopefully I'm speaking to it. Uh, I just, it just doesn't matter. And not just for me. Like this is what I see happen for people. There have been people recently in our community who have kind of started to wake up to this and see things in a really different way. And this happens all the time, but still there's this little train of thought of checking on it, but this thing still lingers a little bit and all of that. And it's been when other people kind of come in and say to them, hey, what if you just don't care? Like, what if you just leave it alone? And sometimes we have to hear that a lot, that it finally kind of starts to click and there's no more checking or less checking and there's less caring about it and there's just going on with your life. And that's where like the whole bottom falls out and the lid blows off and whatever. You're no longer in this little narrow band of story that says these things have to happen and is tracking behaviors. It's like everything just blows wide open, and behavior, who cares? Who cares what happens? Because it literally shows up in an instant and it's gone. Who cares what we think and feel? It shows up in an instant and it's gone. Yeah. There's a lot in that. That's like this whole, I hope you can feel this, Blima. Like it's this whole other realm, this whole other like parallel universe. And just knowing that's there and just looking toward that is amazing, because it kind of shows you, okay, this little narrow band with a really really short ceiling of all this story I'm in, that's just story. That's just the little level of consciousness that's kind of playing out in this moment. There's so much more, so much bigger than that. So I hope this helps. Thank you for sending your question. I'll speak to your other question next week. Thanks everyone for listening. Have a great week, and I'll see you next week.